Hey everyone, I'm Wa.
And I'm Chris, and welcome to DocuSweeties.
We're two longtime friends to discuss the riveting and sometimes trashy world of reality TV and docuseries.
Yes, but through our own lens, honey mush can be peppery, bitter, acidic, downright spicy, but at the end of the day, hopefully mildly sweet. Hello.
Hello. So today we're talking Gunther's Million, episode 2, in the doghouse. Woo, 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 woo. I'm so silly. Anyways, you guys,
Mhm.
did you guys see episode 1? Did you guys listen to episode 1? If you're on Patreon, you saw it. If you are not on Patreon, which is $10 a month at at patreon.com/DocuSweeties, then you heard it and you would have gotten to see us talk about it or hear us talk about it with
They were so
reality
confusing.
gaze.
You're right.
Reality gaze.
They were
So great.
lovely. What a fun episode that was. And let's be honest, is this episode going to be as fun? Probably not. No, but we'll try. We'll try. We love you guys. No, just kidding. Ha ha ha. We have really enjoyed this docu-series so far. It's bananas. It really is crazy, and there's way too many characters. Like but there is a lot of news footage from the 90s, so I mean, take what you can. It really does pair well with Miss Cleo in kind of a interesting way. But okay,
Nostalgic.
yeah. So let's pick up. Now, as we know, Maurizio Mion has become a little like, roundup of what's happening. The sole trustee and caretaker of a dog who is named Gunther or Gunther, who was a countess's dog, who was also named after her son, who committed suicide. And the countess, therefore not having a son, an heir, when she dies, she gives all her money to the dog's legacy, the dog's breeding, the dog dynasty, honey. And then some very, very lucky person gets to just live with this dog and spend all this money for the rest of this person's life. And that's Maurizio, this Italian dude. He never brushes his hair. Also, in our last episode, he has put together a pop group on old fashioned 90s like Western ideals of beauty. What?
Yeah, I mean, this pop group is referred to or called the Burgundians for some crazy.
Dumbest name. Absurd that no one told that man. Absolutely not. I mean, like, it's so hard to say. It's not even musical. It really is just goes to show you how crazy that man is. Anyway.
So crazy. So he is looking to bring together a group of people who to be the face, to be beautiful, because he would like to do a social experiment with them, scientific experiment with them, to see like how beautiful people in a enclosed space behave and how their happiness moves on. So he starts to get some guys in lab coats to kind of hang out around the mansion, the Madonna's mansion that they bought in the last episode, to watch them. So it was a lot of scientific studying going on, and
Yeah. It's so crazy. Like, he has just presupposed this theory. Like, this is a madman's theory, but basically this. What is the secret to happiness? And I can find out and I can spend money on it because the benefit is thusly the line of the Countess's wishes, which is that the Countess's son, having died of suicide, had depression, and obviously would have really benefited from being able to be happy. And if money can be spent on finding the key to happiness, thusly greatness. Now, what's banana whammas is that he goes, well, first and foremost, in order to have an experiment go well, one of the keys is being young, hot, and beautiful, just physically perfect. You can't be happy unless you are that border basic level gorgeous young. So not talented, not smart, you have to be like physically beautiful, which is such an interesting thing to think, like that's would be most important. Then everything he layers on what could possibly be in the scientific quest of happiness are all the things that the media or society tells us we should want. It's
yeah.
not like research done to like find intrinsically happiness. Like, if I'm no scientist, can you believe it? Wa?
You're not a scientist, you're not a lawyer, you're not a doctor, you're not a therapist.
I'm a rapper. Just
Uh,
a little young girl rapper. So
yeah.
no.
But enter Barry, right? So Barry comes onto the scene. Barry and a couple of other scientists.
He's also,
Um,
is he a scientist?
yeah, no, he's not. Um,
He's
but
not also a scientist.
he plays the part of a scientist in front of all these young, beautiful people, and he just watches them. He wants to find out what is the center of joy, and he gives, along with the other scientists, Maurizio all of this research, and Maurizio's supposed to, supposedly supposed to do something about it. And then enters Matteo, and he's a psychiatrist. But then again, do we know if that's true? We don't know. So they come up with the 10 commandments of how they're going to like create this utopia in Madonna's old mansion. Never be a traditionalist. Science and research are key. Life is an endless celebration. Abolish this idea, this network known as family. Do drugs, the psychedelic drugs that help to expand your mind. Have lots of sex. Listen to great music. Be active. Have beauty. Intelligence is valued, but really it's more so beauty, wealth, and then so there's probably some other stuff. But this entire time, so he's just encouraging these young people. So it's Carla, his wife, it is Lee, the dog guy, the guy who put bacon in his pocket. It
Spokesperson.
is it is Lee's girlfriend Michelle, and two other Burgundians, okay?
They go out all the time. Like those are the ones that are sometimes here, sometimes there, and we don't see a lot of this person, but we would like to think that Maximus is still around. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
Yeah, so there's orgies, they're sleeping with each other, and at first there's no drama because they're just like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what life is like. We're just like free spirits and we move. There's no real bonds. Like we're not in a relationship. And then like Carla and Lee start to sleep together, and it's fine because, I'm sure Maurizio is sleeping with whomever, whenever, wherever. Like Shakira, Those his hips did not lie. So one of the most important things about this is that the women all had to be under 130 pounds. So definitely me, like when I was 16, I would have been able to join them because that's when I was 130 pounds at 5'8". So obviously small women, right?
Yeah, I think Wheel of Fortune women up until like a certain 2000 year had to like also have weigh-ins. It's so interesting, the idea though of this utopian society that also feels like very hippy dippy. Like, I wonder what is man's obsession with free love, and like how they think that is the key, like as if humans don't have to deal with jealousy and envy. And also it's interesting that we talk so much about how sex, and like so much sex is the key to happiness and not just physical intimacy or touch, which truly I think is like what it is. I mean, because I think you can really just like have meaningless sex and just be like, feel whatever, empty or whatever. And you could also just like have a really great hug and or like whatever and feel like filled up. And I think that's the physical touch and intimacy is I think more of a key. But it's just it's people get obsessed with these ideas of this
Yeah,
utopian love,
they really do. So while they were all having sex, there was cameras everywhere.
Mhm,
And not only did the scientists get to watch in person, but they also got to watch the videos of
mhm,
these people having sex. So
mhm,
that's when it got weird for certain people.
mhm.
So when they realized that folks were watching them to have sex, and so then somehow neighbors got wind of this. I
Mhm.
know this must have been some hater because like there's no way that neighbors in this like fancy ass mansion strewn street would know what is happening in a mansion in the corner or on the street.
I always think about this. It must, but if they were having very loud parties and there was just people clogging the cul-de-sac and the music was very, very loud and there was cigarette butts everywhere from whatever, I think that I think you have a case for something.
Oh, I guess in my mind, I didn't know that they were having loud parties and people were invited. I just assumed that it was just like the Burgundians and scientists and like
Gunther.
yeah, I just thought it was like an intimate few.
No, 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 babe. This is like the 90s. Like these people are just out of their mind, given so much coke and live in this house, like Playboy playmates, but like of various sex and genders, and just living their life as if everything is totally normal. And then now they have to be kind of like fucked up looking 40-year-olds recounting this, somewhat ashamed to be like, yeah, I just went along with it because
but
drugs. It was the drugs.
but not
You
even
know?
all of them came back. It really was only 2 of them that came back. The rest of them, I mean, like 3. The rest of them we don't hear. The last 2 we don't hear from. Anyway, so the neighborhood finds out and they kick him out. So they have to run back, hightail it back to Italy. And let me tell you, Lee loves it. Michelle is like, no, I guess I'll just stay here. It's fine.
Yeah.
Lee is like, no, I am on this roller coaster to the end, to infinity and beyond. So
Mhm.
Lee goes to Italy and he's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? You know, but this is great. So they're at a club in Italy and he runs into a friend of his or someone that he knew. And they're like, hey, you want to join our new group? We're not the Burgundians anymore, but you just want to join this group. So this person comes over and he gets hired by Maurizio. So Maurizio, this person comes over, Maurizio just hands the guy like an envelope full of money. And he's like, hey, come on to my house. Come on to my house. Join the party.
My house.
Yes. So go ahead.
Just we're meeting people left and right, and we like don't know why we're meeting them or if they have any sort of relevance in the story. We're just like on for the ride, just like these people. Like it feels like Gunther slipped us all something like a Quaalude honey, and we're on it. We meet Garen James, who is the CEO of Cowboys and Angels, Cowboys for Angels, which is a straight male escort and agency, which is so specifically they're saying that these are straight males for women only. And
Why limit yourself? This is what I say. Also, Garrett James is the guy who gets the cash.
okay, yeah. So, here's the thing. First of all, there was that show Gigolos, which I think that he was on, which was a docu-series. We should review it, haha, about male escorts. And one of them I went to college with. He was absolutely my friend. I mean, I haven't seen him in a long time, but I didn't know that he was an escort. And so when that show came on, I was like, Jimmy? And I had done plays with him and stuff like that. I was like, the seagull, So anyway,
Ooh,
so
a heavy play. He was an actor.
I mean, no, you know what happens in that play. I don't know. He's not the one that kills himself. Anyway, but just like Maurizio loves watching people, like when he should be watching people, like when they're having sex, the Italian club gives him the opportunity to watch people in the social habitat by use of security cameras, and so he just like freakishly lays in back, honey, and watches drunk Italians like hook up with each other.
God, this man, I mean, he really just likes to see people having a good time, so to speak.
He
So
talks about porn so much. Yeah, so sorry. Yeah, he literally talks about porn so much. It is obvious, just like how Kanye obviously is obsessed with porn. Like he just like keeps talking about it, and like same thing. It's very obvious that Maurizio is obsessed with porn. Has a hardcore porn addiction. Yeah,
Kanye has porn addiction too. I mean, likes porn. I've never
yeah.
even heard him talk about it.
That's national no news. And it's like imprinted in us. Yeah, no, we know that. We know that.
I mean, I don't, but that I'm just thank you for giving me the news.
No,
I
we know that.
appreciate
We
it.
know that. We know that. I'm just kidding. I'm just playing with you. So, porn stars. Yes, the man is obsessed with porn stars. I'll tell you, if Kanye, I wish Kanye could give us his feedback and reviews of these 2 next ones. So, basically, Maurizio Goes Italy is like, I'm fucking back in my homeland, honey. I'll tell you what I love. Pizza, honey. It's not just that leaning tower. It's my land. He like loves it. He opens the club. He then starts to buy, they love football. We call it soccer. But he buys like, the Pigeon, is that how you say it? Football league or whatever. And like, then just for bananas PR reasons, he gets 2 very famous porn stars. The first one he first hires is, how do you say it?
COC, I don't know. COC.
I
I don't know how to. I don't know the CC in Italian. Ciocilina.
Chicolina? Chicocilina?
I don't know, but she likes to show her
Wait.
tit at any moment. So she's the face of the soccer club, and she just, I mean, will pull down her shirt to show her A cup at any given moment.
Oh, yeah, but watching her is a very jealous other porn star named Valentina. And Valentina's thing is like, oh, I love Betty Page. So
Yeah,
that's what I
black
love.
hair, blunt cut, bangs.
Mhm.
And so they're just like, I guess I don't know for what reason, why they chose to add them to this documentary makes no sense because you guys, have we spoken about the dog once?
Oh yeah,
No.
there's a dog.
Yeah. So she's on there and I don't know, girl. I don't really know what they talk about. They're just porn stars and that's it. So
They're just basically like, he hired us. No, we know nothing about. No, we know nothing about soccer / Lolita, but I'll tell you what we do know. We know how to go into those locker rooms, honey, and we'll make sure that everything's warmed up in the muscles with our mouths, huge mouths. So like they're just, they are leaned into. We never get to actually like speak to Chicolina or whatever her name is. Like we never get to talk to her. Too bad, but we do get to talk to Valentina, honey, who is only too happy to like show up anytime a camera gets turned on.
yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. So then we take a pivot. We turn
Yeah.
left. We get to Tax Evasion Boulevard and we take a left.
Yes.
So we learn about Liechtenstein.
Liechtenstein.
Liechtenstein. That's a
Mhm.
country.
Liechtenstein.
Liechtenstein.
Have you never heard of Liechtenstein?
I have, but I've never tried to say the name.
I can tell.
It's like where's that place where people do tax evasion in the islands? Anyways, they do
Cayman
it's like
Islands.
Cayman? Yeah. So it's like the Cayman Islands, but it's landlocked in Europe. And this is where people go to put their money so that they don't have to pay taxes. And so they get this tax person who's really good at tax evasion. And then some hateration. He works for the company. He gets a bunch of names of the people who bank in Liechtenstein and he gives it to the Italian government. He's like, listen, here are all the Romans who are trying to steal money, who are not trying to pay their taxes, which is we need for these roads and these what?
Yeah, like that. Remember how because Christians say like give to Caesar what is Caesar's.
Yes.
And all these Italians are not giving Caesar what is Caesar's.
Exactly. So then basically the country is like, hey, just give us this much and you'll be fine. So they do.
Yeah, but okay, so this is what happens though. So on this list, and it's like, every like rich people, rich families, just like, filtering money through this bank. But on the list is like, there's no Gunther. There's not a Gunther, but you know what? There's a Maurizio. There's a Maurizio Mian. And his name is on that with all of that money, which is weird because we all know that money belongs to Bark Bark, you know? So, now, of course, we now jump back to the fact that we're shooting this documentary. Ha ha ha. We're not shooting it, but we're recording this podcast. But we're watching this documentary that was one time being shot. And in their breaking the third wall, they have Maurizio sit down and they're going to ask him about this. And he seems tense. He fuddles about, that he has no hair and makeup. He definitely always never has hair. I mean, the man has never had his hair done ever. And he's like, we got to be careful. It's quite complicated. And he tells us the story, his story. This is the first time he's going to let us know this part. So in Italy, his great-grandfather, sorry, had a pharmaceutical company. Pharmaceuticals, we've heard of that before. A pharmaceutical company called the Gentili Institute, and they sequenced a DNA discovery that is called alidante, which the molecule alidante in the research helps with osteoporosis. So another part of this documentary is that we see these like 90s commercials, which is very, very viscerally I remembered it, of older actresses be like, when I turn 60, I gotta start getting my osteoporosis, and my doctor said to have more yogurt or whatever it is. But and if I couldn't do that, I started looking at, and then it's like a drug for this Adelante, like it was like their osteoporosis breakthrough. That was his family. So when that happens, that's all they need. They're real small. Like they sell out. That's what happens. Everyone knows, like you
Yeah.
make it big, you sell it. Like that's what generational wealth is. Okay, so that's what they do. They sell, and it's millions. But Italy at the time has crazy taxes. By crazy, I mean relative. Like it's a lot. So they
Put them
decide to put the money in Liechtenstein Bank. Wow, go
Yeah,
ahead.
they put the money in Liechtenstein Bank. So, I mean, I think that we already knew he was rich or that he came. I mean, because his mother and Carlotta Liechtenstein, Luxembourg, Gunther's owner,
Countess. Uh-huh.
Countess. Yes, the
Mhm.
Countess was rich, so we assumed. But then we start to go, oh, Maurizio's like wealthy, wealthy. Like he's got money from his grandpapa.
Got some Medici money. How he got that Medici money? Yeah.
Yeah. And so then we go to a lawyer who manages the money, the Countess's money in the Bahamas. Her name is Carol Lashley.
I loved Carol Ashley. I mean, Carol Ashley does her job. It is such a very we have two lawyers on here that are interesting. They have to talk, right? Like they're talking. We're choosing to talk on a docuseries. In my mind, I'm like, what an interesting choice. I wonder why. Wouldn't you just be like, oh, a company policy says we don't comment on click cases?
I think it's better to let everybody know what good of lawyers they are. To be like, I was on a show and I didn't say anything, but I was there. You know?
Yeah, she very much is like, she sits there and she like is like, well, the countess left the money and I handle the money. And they're like, okay, so countess, have you ever met the countess? Have you ever seen it? And she's like, those documents were not necessary for me to do my job, and therefore I didn't look at them.
Yeah.
You're like Carol Ashley, honey. I like, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, Carol's like, I don't care who the Countess is. I just countess her money and make sure that it stays where it should stay. And
Mhm,
that's what I get paid for. And I will continue doing that until I die. So, thanks. So
mhm.
then Maurizio's mother dies at 82. It's very sad. And then we get moved to this character who walks in, this hot man,
Oh,
shaved head. And he sits down and he's like, who am I? It's difficult to say. That's it.
we're like,
This, yeah.
Please say more. They know we needed it, like there's like, for it's funny because they kept talking about like sex, sex, sex up until Fabrizio. There's not one sexy part of this docuseries.
Yeah. I mean, Lee is not sexy.
Um,
Like he thinks he's sexy. The
mm-mm.
chakra beads, but he's not. He's just like a hanger oner and grateful for this life. You know.
No, no, none of them are sexy. Except for Fabrizio, who,
We'll
spoiler alert,
get.
is
Yeah,
that
we'll get to know more of him
is
next time.
Fabrizio.
Yeah.
Side note is not to be confused with Fabrizio Moriarty, who is the drummer in The Strokes and who, Kristen Wiig dated for a long time, and I used to always think that he was so handsome, and I liked him with Kristen Wiig. Anyway, can you believe we're going that's the end of this?
Yeah, we're done. Let's keep it moving.
Okay, we love you guys so much, and we're a little quick, but you know what? It's kind of a weird docuseries. Like, what do you guys think so far? We have 2 more episodes. Don't even worry about it. We'll get through it. We love you guys, and here's the thing: if you want to start a pop group, just make sure that your pop group has a very catchy, good name and
And then get any kind of
song.
producer to create a song for you because it really isn't that hard. But I think it's because he knew what he was doing was crazy and he didn't want people. If he had actually had them have a song, then they would have had to go on tour and there would have been less sex parties in that mansion.
But you would have had sex on tour, like.
But then that's too much heat, don't you think? Or no, he wanted all the heat.
Yeah, it really the fact they actually made a dog song and then when they actually had people didn't make a song is crazy. Okay, and also if you're gonna have a pop group, please hire Maximus. I hope he's okay. I hope that he's just like living in wealth. He deserves it. Okay, so and at the end of the day, Carol Ashley is my lawyer. Okay,
Yes.
thank you guys so much. And if you want more of social media content involving us, you're welcome to search it out. Try looking at DocuSweeties on Instagram, at DocuSweeties on TikTok, or at DocuSweeties1 on Twitter. Now, here's the other thing. If you want to give us money, like in the sense if you're the countess and you want to bequeath us your Gunters, you can. Wow. How do they give us the Gunters?
On patreon.com/DocuSweeties. It's $10 a month. We go live every first Monday of the month. And we have all of our programs put to you directly. Any podcast that we do, it gets put onto Patreon immediately. You get to see the visuals. So thank you guys so much.
Yes.
All right, bye guys.
Bye.
Bye.